Hello, welcome to another Mondays with Maile, and I am Maile Bloxham, and we are at Vicky's Fabrics in Kapa'a, Hawaii. You can find us online at www.vickysfabrics.com. And today we have a very special guest. This is Lee Ingram, very special guest. She is a incredible artist. She does a number of different mediums. This is an example of one of her pieces, and this is her textile artwork. I mean, she's amazing. One of my first introductions to Lee, by the way, is she was having a exhibit at the Coin Museum.
Right.
That was a number of years ago. I mean, she does amazing art pieces. And we are very lucky that she is a professional long arm quilter that works with us in the store. We sell a number of her textile panel art pieces, and she's also the co-chair of the Kauai Quilt Show and one of the Garden Island Quilters. So you can see her work in a lot of places, and she's really incredible. You're going to want to see this demo. She's going to show us how to do a facing on a quilt, and at the end of this video, we're going to tell you where you can find a set of written instructions on how to do this. Okay, so you want to stay to the end of the video, and this is an amazing jaw-dropping technique. Okay, both Tony and I were like, oh my gosh. So, well, here we go.
It's not my technique, and all those compliments are just going to go to my head.
Yes.
Anyway, a friend showed me how to do this. It's really cool because I was putting a facing on. So a facing basically is so you don't have to have your binding showing. It's really great on art quilts. It's also been used a lot lately on some of the more modern quilts if you don't want that extra edge to distract your eye from what you're looking at. So to start out with, you need strips of, it's just like a binding. These are 2-inch wide strips that I've cut and I've ironed in half just like you would for a binding. These I did 2 inches wide because this is a rather small piece that I'm working on, but there's no, these are only guidelines, they're not rules. So you can cut it as wide as you like it. I prefer if I have fabric that matches the border on my quilt, just because it's going to get turned to the inside, and if once your edge is turned, it's going to be better if your edge matches the border. But again, no rules, you can use whatever you like. So these are 2-inch wide strips. You don't have to stitch them together as for a binding in lengthwise, because you just need them a little bit shorter than the sides and top and bottom. Of course, if you're going to put them on a big quilt, like a bed quilt, you will need to stitch them and make them long enough to measure those sides. And you also need to cut 4 squares of fabric. These ones happen to be, I think, 4 inches, but again, you can make them any size you want. So cut these squares, cut 4 of them, 1 for each corner, fold them in half into triangles and iron them. And these go on first. So you put 1 on each corner of your quilt. This is important that you put these on first and not last. And you're working on the right side of your quilt, not from the back. And then I love these clips. These are awesome, amazing things. Yes. So I just put 1 in each corner. And again, you could use straight pins if you want, whatever you have at home, whatever works for you. I just like to do this so that it holds those in place. And then I take my strips, raw edges towards raw edge, so your fold is into the center of the quilt. And you'll notice, I'm not sure if you can see because it's so dark, but these don't come to the end. There's a good inch, inch and a half that does not get covered, so you don't take these all the way to the corner.
You do need to cover the triangle.
You need to go over your triangle. They need to go over the triangle, but not all the way into the corner, right? Okay. So you put those on, you put your sides on, doesn't matter if you put your top and bottom on first, line everything up, put clips on, and again I clip one on each end of each side, and then I usually put at least 1 or 2 in the middle. So that's your sides, and then you do the same thing with the top and bottom, raw edges to raw edges. The fold goes into the middle. So you pin that on, and then, well, we'll do the last one just to make it all uniform. Because, you know, you don't want people thinking that you only have to do 3 sides. You have to do all 4 sides. One more. All right. So then what you do is you're going to take this to your sewing machine and you're going to stitch all the way around. I use a scant 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so magically, here's one that's all been stitched. So it's all stitched down all the way around. And again, I didn't go into the corners with my little side pieces. And
I do want you to see this. This is how Lee clips a corner.
okay,
This is
so
really interesting.
I clip it off on a triangle, and then I clip it
On 2 sides.
on 2 sides.
To reduce bulk.
Yeah, it reduces the bulk. And when I'm stitching around, when I stitch around, I stitch this side all the way to the end. And then I back up, and then stitch the other side so that the corner is actually stitched twice, which makes it stronger, because when you clip it, you want to be very careful you don't clip the stitching, but you want to get as much bulk out of that corner as you possibly can, because this all gets turned around, and you're gonna move that triangle to the back side like so. And I take my magic little poker thing that I think I've had for like 40 plus years. There was a sewing store where I used to live that gave these out 1 year for free. So, and I love this thing because it pokes through. But anything, chopstick will work, but it's nice to have a point.
I use the point-to-point turner by Clover. That's one of my favorite tools.
Okay. Yeah.
I had a lady that used to use a very small crochet hook.
Yep.
That was
Yeah,
a really
that works
amazing
really good.
tool.
Yeah. There's all kinds of things that you can use. You just don't want something that's really sharp that pokes a hole through your fabric.
Yeah.
So then you turn it all and you iron it. And it's going to look like that on the back. Okay. And so then you've got these corners on the back that you can either stitch down if it's like a big quilt and you're going to use it like a lap quilt or a bed quilt. You're going to want to stitch those corners down and also stitch your sides down. But because this is a very little piece, I kind of cheated and I took fabric glue and I glued this down instead of stitching it because I'm a little lazy. And I also didn't want to have a line of stitching on the top. I didn't want to do it by machine, which you can do, but then you get a line of stitching, which is fine. It depends on what look you want.
Top stitching, you mean?
Top stitching, yeah. So I didn't want a line of top stitching because I had already quilted all of my border. So then you have these pockets are awesome little rods. I have it upside down because I've signed it. I use that as my label and I just print on it with permanent marker. I love Sharpies. They work great and they don't really fade. And I often will put the dowels in the top and the bottom because that helps to keep the bottom from curling up or flapping in a breeze when you've got it hanging on the wall. And that's it. Did I miss anything?
I want to say what was so amazing about this technique is the fact that usually I thought I knew how to do facings, right? And a lot of times people will do facings just like we do bindings, where we go into the corner
right.
and do that turn as if we were mitering, and that adds all this bulk in the corners. This has almost no bulk.
Yeah.
Okay, because all that's in the corner is that triangle that you've put down.
Right.
That's what was amazing about this technique to all of us. And the fact that even though these are raw edges, when it's turned and stitched down, because of those corner pockets, you don't have to worry about them at all.
No.
Okay.
They're totally down.
And these corner pockets are awesome, especially in smaller pieces, for hanging purposes. Now, if you were going to do a larger quilt, where you were going to have the option of hanging or stitching down, you would want to put perhaps a prairie point,
a couple prairie points
in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. That's for another Mondays with Maile. But yes, this was really, really amazing.
Yeah,
now,
it's awesome.
Lee taught this at the Kauai Quilt Guild, and she did this neat little handout. And I was going to retype it up, but I decided no, we're just going to leave the little handout in Lee's handwriting with her cute little cat drawings because they're awesome. You are going to be able to find this on www.vickysfabrics.com in the free pattern section. It'll be facing instructions, and it'll go over all the information that we did right here on this video. And thank you, Lee, so much for coming and sharing this with us. It was really amazing.
My pleasure. It's always fun to share knowledge.
Okay, we will see you guys next week with Mondays with Maile. Bye.